The sky above planet Osera was wide and golden, with streaks of violet clouds drifting slowly. It looked peaceful, but Ryan knew better. He had tracked the signal for hours, following the faint distress beacon across the rocky hills and quiet. Force, his boots crunched over dried leaves and moss as he moved carefully, his rifle slung over his back and scanner in hand. Ryan was a scout with Earth's Outer Colonies Exploration Corps. He didn't wear a fancy uniform, just tough gear, a light helmet, and a sturdy backpack. His job was simple: locate crash sites, record what was left, and help anyone still alive. But most times, there were no survivors. That was just how space worked. This crash felt different. The signal had been weak, flickering in and out, not mechanical, not military. Something unfamiliar? The wind carried a strange hum, almost like a whisper. That alone made him more cautious than usual. When Ryan reached the top of the ridge, he stopped. Below, half buried in the earth, was a broken alien ship. It had carved a trench through the trees. Metal and roots torn apart. Smoke drifted up from the wreck, curling into the sky. The hull was silver, now darkened and cracked, one side of. The ship had peeled open like a crushed can. He scanned the area. No movement, no energy spikes. Just one life form showing faintly inside. Ryan climbed down the slope, boots sliding on dirt. As he approached the wreck, he moved slower. Every creak of metal made him tense. The door was half torn. He stepped inside carefully. The inside was dim. Sparks flickered from broken panels. The air smelled like burnt plastic and something strange, almost like flowers. Ryan's flashlight moved across twisted seats and shattered glass. Then he saw her. She was curled against the far wall of the cabin. Her body was still, breathing shallow, pale blue skin, almost glowing in places. White hair lay around her face like soft threads. Her legs were wrapped in armor like plates, but they were bent the wrong way. She looked hurt, maybe badly. Ryan knelt a few feet away. He didn't speak at first. He just watched her. She didn't look dangerous. She looked scared. "I'm not going to hurt you," he said, his voice calm. She flinched a little. Her eyes opened slowly, large and silver. They blinked at the light. Her lips moved like she wanted to say something, but no sound came. Her legs didn't move at all. Ryan lowered his scanner and pulled out his medkit. He kept his movements slow. She didn't understand him, but she didn't stop him either. Her breathing was shaky, but she didn't try to crawl away. That told him enough. He sprayed a cooling mist over her leg and checked the joints. The armor was damaged. He could see bruising and swelling underneath. Her kind probably didn't heal like humans. Still, he cleaned the wounds and did what he could. She winced but stayed still. When he finished, Ryan sat down on the floor beside her, leaning his back against the wall. He kept a small space between them, not too close, not too far, just enough so she could feel he wasn't a threat. He didn't speak. There was nothing to say. She didn't know his language, and he didn't know hers. But something in her eyes told him she understood his quietness. She wasn't used to kindness. That much was clear. They stayed like that for a long time. The wind outside moved the trees gently. Somewhere above, his ship hovered in standby mode, waiting for his signal. But Ryan didn't move. After a while, the alien girl shifted slightly. Her arm moved, slow and weak, brushing her hair from her face. Then she looked at him. Her eyes stayed on him longer this time. Her lips pressed together, and she gave a small, shaky smile. It was the first smile he'd seen from her. It wasn't wide or bright. It looked tired and unsure, but it was real. Ryan felt something stir in his chest, a quiet warmth. He hadn't expected that. He had just followed the beacon. He didn't come to save anyone special. But here he was, sitting beside a hurt alien girl, and somehow, just being there made her feel safe enough to smile. He reached into his pack and pulled out a small ration bar. He opened it slowly and held it out. She stared at it, then took it with both hands. Her fingers trembled. She sniffed at first, then nibbled the edge. She didn't spit it out, so he guessed that was a good sign. He watched her eat. She moved. slowly, carefully, like she was still unsure if this moment was real. When she finished, she leaned back again, closing her eyes. But her mouth still had the ghost of that little smile. Ryan looked at her and nodded to himself. He couldn't leave her here. Not like this. She couldn't walk. She had no working ship. And worse, this part of the forest was known for wild storms and scavenger drones. He tapped his wristband and called his ship. "I need a pickup. Prepare medbay," he said. He turned back to her. "You're not alone anymore," he said gently. She didn't understand the words, but her hand reached out slightly, brushing his sleeve before dropping again. That small gesture told him everything. Something had begun here. Not just a rescue, not just a report to file. He didn't know her name, didn't know her story. But for now, that didn't matter. What mattered was that when he sat beside her, she had smiled, and that meant he had to stay. The ship hummed quietly as it flew across the golden sky of Osera. Ryan sat in the back, watching the alien girl resting on the padded bench. Her legs were still wrapped in support foam. A small oxygen mask covered her face, though she seemed to breathe more easily now. She looked weak, but she was alive. His ship was small, just a scout-class cruiser. It wasn't made for passengers, especially not injured ones. But Ryan had made space, moved crates, cleared his tools, and even placed a folded blanket under her head. She hadn't spoken yet, not a single word. But every time her eyes met his, there was something there. Not fear anymore, not confusion. Something softer. Trust. Ryan guided the ship toward his outpost, a small sky cabin built high above the forest on old support towers. It floated just below the clouds, connected by bridges and antenna lines. It wasn't much, just metal walls, power cells, and a quiet view of the wild world below. But it was safe. That was enough for now. As they landed, the wind brushed over the roof. Ryan carried the girl gently in his arms. She was light, her body soft against his armor. She didn't struggle. Her eyes stayed on his face the entire time. He placed her carefully on the small bed inside the med-room. Lights scanned over her slowly. He pulled off his gloves and checked her vitals. The med console showed strange results. Her body ran on a different system. Blood pressure, heat, bone density, it all read differently from any species in the database. But it was stable. "Looks like you're stronger than you look," he said softly. She blinked, her eyes tracing the room. Then she looked at him again. He gave her a half smile. She didn't smile back this time, but her gaze didn't leave. Ryan walked to the kitchen and returned with a small warm pack of food. He unwrapped it, placed it on a flat tray, and held it out. She reached for it slowly. Her fingers touched his for a brief second. Then she pulled it close and ate in small bites. Like before, Ryan sat nearby and just watched. He didn't talk much. He didn't want to overwhelm her. That night, a soft rain fell outside. Lightning danced far off in the clouds, but the outpost remained quiet. Ryan checked her legs again. Her armor was fused to the bone in some places. He didn't want to remove it until he knew more. So he wrapped them in healing gel and covered them with clean cloth. She winced once, but didn't stop him. When he finished, he sat beside her on the floor, back against the wall. "I'll figure something out," he said. "We'll find your people, or at least someone who knows your language." She stared at him in silence. Then she raised one hand, placed it on his chest for a moment, then let it fall back down. Her fingers were cold, but gentle. Ryan didn't speak after that. He stayed beside her until she drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Ryan made a soft breakfast and brought it to her room. She was already awake. Her eyes followed his every move. She ate a little faster this time. That small change made him feel hopeful. After the meal, he brought over a data pad and placed it between them. He opened a language grid, showing different symbols and pictures. Then he pointed to himself. "Ryan," he said slowly, tapping his chest. She blinked, watching closely. Then she pointed to him too. "Ryan," she said softly. His heart skipped for a moment. It was the first sound she had made since the crash. Her voice was light, gentle. like wind through glass. He smiled. Then he pointed to her and raised an eyebrow. She hesitated, then slowly pressed her hand to her chest. Anna, she whispered. Anna, he repeated. She nodded once. Ryan tapped the pad and began showing simple words: food, water, sky, ship. He spoke slowly, letting her listen. Then she tried saying them too, her voice shaky but clear. It wasn't perfect, but she tried. Every time she spoke, her eyes looked brighter. They spent most of the day like that, learning, sharing. She had no translator chip, no advanced tech. Everything they learned the hard way. But it worked. Later that evening, Ryan lifted her from the bed and carried her outside onto the sky deck. The sun was sinking, casting gold and red light across the clouds. The wind was gentle. Anna sat beside him, wrapped in his spare jacket. Her legs still didn't move, but she didn't seem as worried anymore. She looked up at the sky, then turned to him and smiled again. Ryan returned the smile. "You're safe here," he said. She didn't understand the words fully, but she leaned her head lightly against his shoulder. That told him enough. They watched. The sun set in silence, side by side. A human and an alien girl, both from different stars, but connected now by something simple. Kindness. Ryan didn't know what would happen next. He didn't know where Anna had come from or how far she was from home, but she was here now, with him, and for the first time since he became a scout. He didn't feel alone. The morning sun spilled soft light through the cabin window. Ryan sat on the edge of the bed, watching Anna carefully. Today was important. She wanted to try walking again. Her eyes held a quiet strength he had not seen before. "Ready?" Ryan asked. Anna nodded slowly. Her legs were still weak. Wrapped in the soft healing gel and support armor, she moved her toes slightly. That was a good sign. Ryan helped her sit up and carefully lifted her into the small walker he had built. It was simple, made from metal rods and padded handles. It wasn't perfect, but it could hold her weight and give her balance. Anna gripped the handles tightly. Her face was set with concentration. Ryan stayed close, holding the back of the walker steady. She pushed forward slowly, one step, then another. The first few were shaky and small. Her legs trembled as she took the weight. Ryan could see the effort in her eyes. He said nothing, just stayed beside her. After a few tries, Anna stopped. Her breathing was heavy, but her face was calm. She looked up at Ryan and gave a small smile. "Good," he said. "You did well." She reached out and touched his hand. The warmth in that simple gesture was stronger than any words. For the next few hours, Ryan helped Anna practice. She fell a few times but got back up. Each step was slow, but steady. The pain in her legs was there, but it did not stop her. Ryan remembered the first time he learned to walk after a bad injury. It was painful and frustrating, but Anna's courage was different. She was fighting for something beyond herself, for hope. Days passed, and the bond between them grew stronger. Anna was no longer just a scared girl in a broken ship. She was a fighter, a survivor, and slowly becoming a friend. Ryan continued teaching her words, sharing stories of Earth and his travels. Anna shared memories too, mostly through pictures on the data pad and small sounds she made. They laughed sometimes, not often, but enough to lighten the long days. One evening, a message came through on Ryan's comm unit. The Outer Colonies Council had sent a rescue team. They would arrive in 2 days. Ryan felt relief and worry at the same time. What would happen to Anna then? Would she be safe? Would they understand her? That night, Ryan sat beside Anna and told her about the rescue. She listened quietly. Then she reached out and took his hand. "Not alone," she said simply. Ryan nodded. "No, not alone." The rescue team arrived just before dawn. 2 ships landed softly on the open field near the cabin. Uniformed officers moved quickly, scanning the area with their equipment. Ryan helped Anna onto a stretcher. She looked tired but steady. She held his hand as the medics checked her vitals and prepared her for transport. Before leaving, the lead officer approached Ryan. "We found a signal from her ship's distress beacon. It may lead us to others. Ryan looked at Anna, then back at the officer. She's from a small group. Not many left. They might need help. The officer nodded. We will try our best. Anna watched the sky as her ship lifted. Her eyes met Ryan's. She smiled again, a real smile full of hope. Ryan raised his hand in farewell. Be safe, Anna. She whispered back, safe, because you, as the rescue ships disappeared over the horizon. Ryan felt a mix of sadness and pride. He had found more than a survivor. He had found a connection that crossed stars. And he knew this was only the beginning. The morning sun spilled soft light through the cabin window. Ryan sat on the edge of the bed, watching Anna carefully. Today was important. She wanted to try walking again. Her eyes held a quiet strength he had not seen before. Ready, Ryan asked. Anna nodded slowly. Her legs were still weak. Wrapped in the soft healing gel and support armor, she moved her toes slightly. That was a good sign. Ryan helped her sit up and carefully lifted her into the small walker he had built. It was simple, made from metal rods and padded handles. It wasn't perfect, but it could hold her weight and give her balance. Anna gripped the handles tightly. Her face was set with concentration. Ryan stayed close, holding the back of the walker steady. She pushed forward slowly, one step, then another. The first few were shaky and small. Her legs trembled as she took the weight. Ryan could see the effort in her eyes. He said nothing, just stayed beside her. After a few tries, Anna stopped. Her breathing was heavy, but her face was calm. She looked up at Ryan and gave a small smile. Good, he said. You did well. She reached out and touched his hand. The warmth in that simple gesture was stronger than any words. For the next few hours, Ryan helped Anna practice. She fell a few times but got back up. Each step was slow, but steady. The pain in her legs was there, but it did not stop her. Ryan remembered the first time he learned to walk after a bad injury. It was painful and frustrating, but Anna's courage was different. She was fighting for something beyond herself, for hope. Days passed, and the bond between them grew stronger. Anna was no longer just a scared girl in a broken ship. She was a fighter, a survivor, and slowly becoming a friend. Ryan continued teaching her words, sharing stories of Earth and his travels. Anna shared memories too, mostly through pictures on the datapad and small sounds she made. They laughed sometimes, not often, but enough to lighten the long days. One evening, a message came through on Ryan's comm unit. The Outer Colonies Council had sent a rescue team. They would arrive in 2 days. Ryan felt relief and worry at the same time. What would happen to Anna then? Would she be safe? Would they understand her? That night, Ryan sat beside Anna and told her about the rescue. She listened quietly. Then she reached out and took his hand. Not alone. She said simply. Ryan nodded. No, not alone. The rescue team arrived just before dawn. 2 ships landed softly on the open field near the cabin. Uniformed officers moved quickly, scanning the area with their equipment. Ryan helped Anna onto a stretcher. She looked tired but steady. She held his hand as the medics checked her vitals and prepared her for transport. Before leaving, the lead officer approached Ryan. We found a signal from her ship's distress beacon. It may lead us to others. Ryan looked at Anna, then back at the officer. She's from a small group. Not many left. They might need help. The officer nodded. We will try our best. Anna watched the sky as her ship lifted. Her eyes met Ryan's. She smiled again, a real smile full of hope. Ryan raised his hand in farewell. Be safe, Anna. She whispered back, safe, because you, as the rescue ships disappeared over the horizon. Ryan felt a mix of sadness and pride. He had found more than a survivor. He had found a connection that crossed stars. And he knew this was only the beginning. Ryan stood outside the outpost, watching the rescue ships vanish into the blue sky. The forest around him was calm, the wind moving softly through the leaves. He felt a strange emptiness inside. The cabin felt too quiet now. He thought about Anna, about her smile, her courage, and the small voice she had used to call him friend. She was no longer just a stranger or a patient. She was someone he cared about deeply. The Outer Colonies Council had promised to help find Anna's people. They had satellite scans and deep space probes searching the star systems. But Ryan knew the galaxy was vast. It would take time. Maybe too much time. Days turned into weeks. Ryan stayed at the outpost, working, scanning, waiting for news. He kept a data pad with Anna's pictures and the few words she had taught him. Sometimes he spoke aloud, practicing her language as best he could. One evening, the communication console beeped. A message came through, encrypted but urgent, coordinates found. Ship detected near Zarak system. Possible survivors matching alien signature. Ryan's heart raced. The Zarak system was far beyond the usual patrol routes. If it was true, it meant Anna's people were still out there, not lost forever. He contacted the council and volunteered for the mission. He wanted to help find them, not just as a scout, but as someone who now understood what it meant to be alone in the stars. Ryan's ship was packed and ready within hours. The engines hummed to life as he left the quiet forest behind. The stars stretched out before him, endless and bright. He set course for the Zarak system, hoping to find answers and maybe bring hope to Anna's people. As he traveled, he thought about everything he had learned, about kindness that crossed language and species, about strength that comes from hope. He knew this journey would be hard. There would be dangers, unknowns, and risks. But he also knew that sometimes the hardest journeys brought the greatest rewards. After days of travel, Ryan entered the Zarak system. The planets were strange and beautiful blue oceans, red deserts, and swirling storms. His scanners picked up a small ship hiding near a moon. It was battered and old but still active. Ryan approached carefully. He sent a signal in the language Anna had taught him, hoping for a reply. Seconds passed. Then a weak message came back. "We are here," it said. Relief flooded Ryan. He landed near the ship and climbed down with his gear. The area was quiet except for the hum of broken machines. He moved toward the ship's entrance and found a group of aliens waiting. They were like on a pale blue skin, silver hair, and glowing lines on their arms. They looked tired, scared, but alive. Ryan raised his hand in peace. The leader stepped forward, eyes sharp but wary. "You have Anna?" The leader asked in broken words. Ryan nodded. "She is safe. She speaks of you." A soft murmur passed through the group. Some smiled faintly, others wiped tears. Ryan helped them board his ship. He shared food, water, and warmth. Slowly, the survivors began to heal. On the long trip back, Ryan listened to their stories. They spoke of a war in their home system, of loss and escape. Anna had been sent alone to find help. Ryan thought of Anna's smile, her courage. He realized how much hope could change even the darkest moments. When they finally reached the council's station, Ryan knew his journey was not over. It was only the start of a new chapter. The council station was a massive structure floating in the black space above a green planet. Its bright lights shimmered like stars as Ryan's ship docked smoothly at the bay. Inside, the halls were busy with people and aliens moving between rooms. The air smelled of machines and fresh food. Ryan helped the small group of survivors from Anna's people onto stretchers and into medical pods. Doctors moved quickly, scanning each alien carefully. Ryan watched as the leader of the group, a tall woman named Mira, spoke with the council officials. Her voice was calm but filled with quiet strength. Anna was still resting. Her legs had healed enough to move slowly with support. The medics told Ryan she was doing better every day. He smiled, feeling hope again. Ryan found Mira in a quiet room. Later, she thanked him for bringing her people home safely. "You saved us," Mira said softly. "Many thought we were lost forever." Ryan shook his head. "Anna saved herself. You are strong." Mira looked at him with respect. "You are different from others we met. You care." Ryan nodded. "I care because we all want to survive. We all want to be safe." Over the next weeks, Ryan stayed at the station to help Anna and the others. He learned more about their culture, their language, and their history. They told stories of their peaceful home world, the wars that came, and the hope to rebuild. Anna, slowly gained strength. Her legs grew steadier. With Ryan's help, she began to stand and take steps without the walker. Each time, she smiled wider. Each time, Ryan felt his heart lift. One day, Anna walked to Ryan's side without help. She reached out and took his hand. "Thank you," she said softly. Ryan smiled. "You did all the work." She shook her head. "You made me believe." He squeezed her hand. "We are stronger together." The council offered Anna's people a new home on a quiet planet nearby. It was safe, with fresh air and open skies. The survivors were excited, but they knew it would be hard to start again. Ryan watched as Anna looked out at the stars from the station's window. Her eyes were bright with hope and determination. Ryan realized something important. It wasn't just about survival or rescue. It was about kindness, trust, and the courage to keep going. Anna had smiled for the first time because someone chose to stay, because someone believed in her. Ryan knew that no matter how far the stars stretched, that hope could cross any distance. The new planet was quiet and green. Trees stretched tall into the clear blue sky. Gentle rivers curved through open fields. The air was fresh and cool. It was a place to heal, to grow, and to start again. Ryan stood with Anna on a small hill overlooking the settlement. The survivors had already begun building homes and planting gardens. Children played nearby, their laughter echoing through the trees. Anna took Ryan's hand in hers. Her legs were strong now. She walked without help, steady and confident. "I can walk," she said, smiling. Ryan smiled back. "Yes, you can." They stood side by side, watching the new world come alive. It was more than just safety. It was a chance for hope. The people of Anna's tribe gathered around the campfire that evening. They shared stories of their past and dreams for the future. Mira, the leader, thanked Ryan again. "You gave us more than rescue. You gave us a chance." Ryan shook his head. "I just did what anyone would do." Anna stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "Because he stayed," I smiled again. "Because he believed. We have hope." The crowd nodded in agreement. They saw in Ryan a symbol of kindness. That crossed the stars. Days turned into weeks. The new settlement grew. Gardens flourished. Schools opened. Music filled the air. Ryan stayed as a friend and protector. He helped teach, learn, and explore. He found joy in simple moments: a shared meal, a quiet walk, a smile exchanged. Anna and Ryan grew closer. They were from different worlds, but they understood each other in ways words could not explain. One morning, Anna led Ryan to a small clearing where a new tree had sprouted. Its leaves shimmered softly in the light. "This tree is like us," she said, strong even after the storm. Ryan placed a hand on the tree's trunk. "We grow together," he said, as the sun set on the new world. Ryan looked up at the stars. He thought about the long journey that had started with a smile and a broken ship. It was a journey of hope, trust, and courage. He knew the future was still uncertain. There would be challenges ahead, but now they faced them together, because sometimes all it takes is one person to sit beside another, to offer kindness, to believe. And from that, a smile can change everything. The end.